I'll introduce you. I'll start. Hey, welcome to BSP TV today. Raw and Raw is where we are today. I keep forgetting on exactly where we are on different days. Thursday, Mental Health Day. Let's have a think about what we can do to be aware of our situation, our mental health. Today, I've got Margaret Aboudi. Easy to say.
Hi.
There's a story behind.
Easy to say. That is exactly how you say my name, Margaret Aboudi.
Excellent. Now, Margaret's got a business, Lumo, that actually helps people with mental health on a regular basis. And she's got a lot of online programs and that sort of stuff. She's got a whole lot of free stuff. But today we really just want to find out a little bit more about Margaret and find out about the symptoms and how you can notice that you may be getting a little bit fatigued. So, Margaret, first, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
A little bit about me and my background. Okay, so Lumo Workplace Wellbeing and myself, I'm a specialist in the area of workplace mental health and wellbeing and helping well people stay well. That's what I really like to focus on. One of the things I love doing is taking ordinary, the psychology concepts and theories and changing them into something that ordinary people can use on a day-to-day basis to enjoy their life and make a better life. So often we see psychology and the theories around psychology all in the context of abnormal health or in the context of mental illness and serious mental illness. But really, psychology is about human thoughts and behaviour, and we can take all of those concepts, apply them to what we're doing today and really benefit from it. And I love doing that.
Fantastic. So when it comes to mental health, I think it's really important that we do spend a little bit of time focusing on our mental health, and probably a little bit more than a little bit of time. Let's face it, we all know that we should exercise for our physical health, right? And we commit to that to varying degrees from different times. But
we do. We're all guilty of that.
But our mental health's the same, but it's harder for people, particularly of my age genre, to think about mental health because it was such a taboo forever. And then when people are talking about having mental health challenges, they're kind of viewed to being weak and that sort of stuff. And so it was all. So the point of this show is to bring it out into the open and to go, hey, it's not weak. It's not, it's not a power thing. It's about looking after yourself, just like getting some exercise is about looking after your body.
Absolutely. And it's something that we should think about every day and work on all the time and think about all the time. So just like exercise, you can't expect to go to the gym, 5 days in a row at the beginning of the year and then to still have a level of fitness at the end of the year. What you need to do is do some exercise.
2021 exercise regime there.
Yeah, well, that happened for many of us, I know. But what we need to do is work on these things on a regular basis to build up our fitness and our well-being fitness so that because that underpins everything we do. It underpins how well we can, it underpins our happiness, our mental health, our relationships, our success in life, our enjoyment of life, all of those things. So it's something we should pay attention to every day. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I think today's industry has, and sort of commercialisation and that sort of stuff has overcomplicated human well-being, and it's all become about going on an expensive retreat or going on some sort of radical diet or engaging with some sort of high-performance trainer. It's actually not about that. It should feel natural and it should feel easy, and good mental health, good well-being should be comfortable for all of us, and we all need to find our own little balance. So it's going to be different for each person.
Cool. So how do we know if we're starting to suffer a little bit? So hey, we're not sitting in the corner rocking forwards or backwards. Obviously, at that stage, we need some help.
That's right. It's gone too far.
How do we know before we get there?
Yeah, so some of the signs are there and you're going to know them, and sometimes we acknowledge them and sometimes we don't. So signs like not sleeping, sleeping too much, waking up from sleep and not feeling refreshed, being agitated being cranky all the time. So, being snappy with other people, that sort of thing. Disconnecting from the people close to you. So your partner, your children, your neighbours, your parents, your work colleagues, that sort of thing. So withdrawing, disconnecting from people. Changes to your diet, eating too much, not eating enough, losing a lot of weight, putting a lot of weight on. They can all be signs that your wellness is not good and you're not necessarily coping well at the moment. Stomach upsets are another one. And then you start getting into some of the more serious things like racing thoughts, high and obvious anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide. So, these sort of symptoms get more and more magnified as your condition gets worse. But right off in the beginning, things like not sleeping, being snappy with your children, having no patience, waking up feeling tired, can all be signs that you're starting to get run down.
Absolutely. So those general things about getting run down, and I imagine we were discussing earlier, I imagine it's like getting a cold, right? So when you start to feel some of the effects of getting a cold or flu, you know how when you're getting the flu, you get those achy joints all of a sudden and that sort of stuff, and you can ignore them, but all of a sudden it goes to that next level, and you're getting blocked up, and then it goes to the next level, and you're getting headaches, and it goes to the next level, and you're fatigued the whole time. I imagine it's like that. That if the earlier we catch ourselves, the easier and simpler and more self-remedy is going to be available. Whereas if we kind of ignore it, then we are going to end up in a screaming heap, and it's going to require, a lot more effort.
Yeah, that's right. And it is a continuum, just like having a cold. You can have a few little symptoms that you can look after yourself and intervene, or it can go to a full-blown flu and you end up in hospital. And then there are the other ramifications, like it might do damage to your lungs on a permanent basis. You may not be able to attend work, and it can, interrupt your home life and all that sort of thing. So the ramifications will be a lot worse if you don't address that cold or you don't address that mental health issue earlier on.
So if we're starting to notice some of these symptoms that we discussed, we're not sleeping well, or we're waking up tired, and we're noticing that we're getting a bit snappy with people, it could just be that you haven't eaten. Just check that you're not just hangry. But apart from that, what are some of the simple things that we can do to start with to look after ourselves?
Yeah, I say there are 5 things that we need to focus on. First one is what we call mental health hygiene. Okay, and so mental health hygiene is the basic of eating, sleeping, and moving. So we need to eat and give ourselves the nutrients that we need. Eating fast food all the time or not eating at all isn't good for our bodies. We have to fuel our bodies. We have to sleep 8 hours a night. People run on 4 hours sleep and that sort of stuff. It's not good for you. So sleeping, getting good long sleep at night. You look really guilty when I talked about sleep.
I look really guilty when you talk about everything, let me tell you.
The eating. Yeah, so eating, the sleeping, and the moving. So once again, our society's fallen into this thing that somehow exercise is for only, losing weight and building muscle and looking like someone good on Instagram. But exercise is good for you physically, but for your brain, you need to exercise and move for your brain. So even people say, I'm not an exerciser, just get a pair of flat shoes and go out for a walk for half an hour. The mental health benefits are enormous. It lifts your mood, pumps blood around your body, and it helps your brain. So definitely eating, sleeping, moving, they're the first 3 things. The other things I would say, and drinking adequate amount of water is the thing. The other thing big tip I've got is in the afternoons, avoid having coffee and sugary foods. If you really need to have coffee, have it in the morning. If you like to have a donut, have it in the morning. If you have it in the afternoon, this is what happens. It undermines your sleep at night, which is your mental health hygiene, and it also undermines your food choices later in the day. So a big tip of mine is most days of the week, please avoid the caffeine and the sugar in the afternoon. they're my next couple of tips. And I'm just going to make sure I don't forget anything. You're going to hate me with this one, and a lot of people do, but it's have an alcohol-free day. If we can fit alcohol-free days into our week, that is because once again, undermines our sleep, can lead to overindulgence. It underpins a lot of health problems. So we need to get our alcohol consumption under control. I'm going to stop right there and go say
I went 15 years without alcohol, Marty.
Yeah.
Then I turned 16. But we were
right.
So, look, we do sneak alcohol-free days in there occasionally. Every week.
So, can I just say, Australia, alcohol is such an embedded thing in Australian culture. Australian culture has a love affair with alcohol, and there's a lot of bad things about alcohol. You know, we use it to celebrate, though. We use it when we get together. We use it to commiserate. Everyone's cracking open, you know, a bottle of champagne. So it's part of our culture. It's a very hard thing to give up altogether. So what I would say to people is alcohol in moderation or small amounts is better. If you have a problem with alcohol, though, you need to go and get some help. Okay, absolutely. So that's why I would say have some alcohol-free days each week.
Every week?
Every week. Every week. I would say have at least 4 or 5 alcohol-free days a week.
Okay, we won't talk about that.
So during the pandemic has seen alcohol levels go through the roof, and I mean, people will openly say the only thing that's got them through the pandemic and homeschooling is drinking. You know, homeschooling it.
So moving on, so we've got mental health hygiene, eat, sleep, move, drink more water, a little bit less alcohol.
Sugar and caffeine in the afternoon, try and get that out of your life too, you know, try and move on from that.
Yeah.
The next one is be still for 10 to 20 minutes a day. And by that, I mean take some time out to sit still and try some meditation. Perhaps try being in nature, silently in nature, grounding yourself, sitting on the grass, being around trees, perhaps go for a walk in nature. Or if you have a faith, connect to your faith and through prayer, that sort of thing. So meditation and nature and prayer are great for stopping us and slowing our bodies down and slowing down our minds. So be still for 10 to 20 minutes a day.
Absolutely. Marty, too much chocolate is the same. It's both sugar and caffeine, so it's even worse for you. I'm looking over there because that's where you are. Marty, a guy that's giving comments. Absolutely. You know, look, any vice is okay in moderation, right?
Yeah. That's why I don't say completely you need to give it up completely. You don't, have a donut now and again. But what I'm saying is don't eat a chocolate bar and 3 cups of coffee in the afternoon thinking that, that's what I need to get through my day. What you really need to do is have a good sleep at nighttime, and that'll carry you through the next day. So try and change that around.
Absolutely. So be still. And when we talk about be still and meditation and that sort of stuff, as we said, you don't have to, go to the local Taoist temple and, sign up for a week-long program or anything. It can be as simple as just taking a couple of minutes out and, concentrating on your breathing. If you need help, there are so many apps that do start with free training programs and all that sort of stuff to start with. There's some really great ones. There's some others. But what's really great for me might be really crap for somebody else. And so there's no right or wrong. It's just what works for you.
That's right. What works for you. And that's why I say be still for 10 to 20 minutes. So I'm not saying you have to meditate or you have to pray or you have to go out in nature. Do what suits you, but it has to be certainly still. And you said a really important thing there before about breathing is the big thing. So even if you're not really sure what to do, sit down for 10 minutes, close your eyes and just breathe in and out and think about breathing. And that's how you start learning how to meditate. Or look, there are stacks of apps, stacks of stuff on the internet to take you through all the different types of meditations. The next thing, though, Sorry.
Yep.
Till I go on. The next tip I've got is journaling. And journaling is something that a lot of people, when I talk to them about it, they'll say, I do it all the time. And other people have no idea what it is. So journaling is simply sitting down and writing down whatever comes into your mind. And you start a sentence that says, I feel, and then you just start writing. Doesn't have to be grammatically correct or anything. And always promise yourself that you're going to destroy the notes afterwards and that nobody else is going to read them. So it's like self therapy. It's like going to a counsellor, but you're not at a counsellor, you're just with yourself. And just say whatever flows out of your mind. Getting all of those thoughts out of your head, it slows everything down.
Cool. Now, different stuff that I've read talks about writing stuff rather than typing it because there's something more complete around using all of our senses when we're writing. I don't know exactly what it is. But they've said, if you're if you've gone to a conference or a stuff, if you take the time to write notes as people are speaking, even if you were to throw those notes in the bin as you leave, you're going to retain a truckload more. So do you, when you're journaling, better to write rather than type?
Absolutely. The whole experience of writing it down. And there's a lot of research that backs up that if you've got anxiety, depression, or you're suffering from stress, journaling is very likely to help you, more likely than not. So I'd really say give that a go.
So as much as you said, promise yourself that you're going to throw it out, do you encourage people to write in a book so there's consistency and they can find stuff, or just grab a sheet of paper and burn it later if you wish?
Well, you could do either. You can write in a book. When I say throw it out, I don't mean you need to throw it out immediately, but I mean you could have a journal, write in your journal, and you can keep it, pull it out every day. You're not necessarily going to go back and read it. It's more about that point in time when you're doing it, as opposed to going back and reflecting. But some people find it useful to go back and see what they wrote before and see how far they've come. That can be part of it for you. So once again, it's one of these things that you should try and work out what works for you. But if you think somebody else is going to read your notes, you're probably not going to write down the absolute honest thing. So you need to promise yourself that nobody else is going to read those notes and make sure they don't. So that's why I would say, destroy them if you think somebody else is going to read. Because if you're going to write down something about somebody close to you that actually you could be harbouring inside of you that might actually really hurt your partner or somebody close to you, you don't want them reading it. And it's okay for you to write it down and for you to unjumble your thoughts, but you don't want you going through that process to potentially hurt anybody else, because that's going to mean you're going to hold back.
Well, and also that's going to cause you more anxiety and stuff and not help at all.
Well,
so journaling. So being still, journaling. So eat, sleep, move, drink more water, be still, and journal.
Journaling. You and the coffee and sugar thing in the afternoon.
Look, I may or may not be avoiding that for another reason. Fortunately, you're not telling me not to drink alcohol in the afternoon, because otherwise I'd have to start doing that in the morning, and that wouldn't help at all.
That wouldn't help. No. So the next thing I recommend is gratitude practice. So these things are the things that are starting to unjumble your thoughts. So gratitude practice is something that we should all do on a daily basis. And maybe what you could do is actually in the back of your journal, start each day just writing down 3 things that you're grateful for. And start, for example, you might start off with something really simple, like I have eyes that allow me to see the beautiful blue sky. I live in Brisbane and it's warm weather. Aren't I lucky? Or I'm very grateful that I have an income that allows me to provide for my family.
Could it be as simple as, hey, I'm really grateful that was an awesome dinner I had tonight?
Absolutely. Yeah, thankful for the food we have.
Yeah, let's start with the most basic things that you can't break, So, hey, if that's all you've got to be grateful for today, if you've had the crappiest day in the world and that's all you've got to be grateful that you got dinner.
Yeah. So, like you said, start with physical closeness. You start with your own five senses. We have our five senses, which allow us to have the enjoyment of the world. And then your example about the food, you know, being grateful for the food that we have, and being really mindful about the things that we really are grateful for in our life. So if you start off doing a little gratitude list in your gratitude practice each day, write it in the back of your journal. That's a good way to start. And what you'll find with your gratitude practice is that it will become deeper and deeper as you go along, and it will become more regular, and it will become more I guess a natural part of your life. So as you're driving along in the car, you're not necessarily doing your gratitude practice, but you might see the beautiful jacaranda out and you go, isn't that beautiful? Am I lucky to see that beautiful jacaranda today? And you start noticing things around you a lot more. You know, your gratitude for your neighbour who gives you a wave in the morning, tells you look nice, that sort of thing. So gratitude practice.
Absolutely. So eat, sleep, move, drink water, less coffee and sugar in the afternoon, be still, journal, gratitude.
Alcohol. Alcohol-free day. Okay. Now the last two, second last one is about kindness and being kind to other people. Now, kindness and empathy practice and being kind to other people actually benefits you more than it actually benefits the person on the other end. When we're kind to somebody else, we actually get a release of serotonin in our bodies and into our brain, which gives us that sense of well-being and a sense of happiness. So it's actually really good for us. It really boosts us. So you don't even have to, you could be kind to somebody that you don't know, or you could be kind to someone and they don't even know you were the kind person. You know, say if you left something on a packet of oranges on someone's front step and you know they love oranges, if you just left them there and they didn't even know it was you, you're going to benefit from that. And so kindness practice is for you. It's not for other people, really. That's the secret about it. The other good thing about kindness, or the trick with kindness, is that the kind action doesn't need to go on social media. So when you go around doing your acts of kindness, it's better to not share them on social media. It's better to just...
What's the point of being kind if you can't actually share it? Just joking.
Well, this thing, yeah. So then that actually takes it. The motivation then is completely different. It's for some sort of egotism.
It's not about you. It is about them, and that will come back and help you.
And the last one is, can you guess what it is?
Be quiet.
It's actually be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, be kind to yourself and have a bit of a chat to that inner critic and tell them very, very nicely to go away. Okay, so we need to be our own best friend. You know, our best friends and the people that love us do not speak to us in the ways that we speak to ourselves. And we need to stop the negative thought processes in our brains. So humans have a natural ability to look for and are attracted to the negative. And we have a tendency to go with negative thoughts. So you need to deliberately stop that. And when you hear your inner critic, when you tell yourself something negative, you know, you could have handled that a lot better. Oh, you stuffed that up again. Oh, you don't earn enough money. You're a bit hopeless, really. Everybody else can do it. How come you can't? When you start saying that sort of stuff to yourself, stop yourself. And so we need to be kind to ourselves. The other thing is we need to let ourselves have some joy, and we need to do things every day that make us happy. So that's not self-indulgence. That is self-care.
Absolutely, and you do have to be selfish in a positive front. Margaret, every one of these is a whole conversation.
It is. They are.
Of their own right. We will get around to that. Hey, we've got the next year or so, and maybe even longer, forever to be talking about this. I want to continue the conversation. Thanks very much for coming along. Now, Margaret, Lumo, I'm going to get you to put in the commentary here, Lumo, and the things. You've got some resources available for people.
That scorecard, those 12 things are on the Lumo Wellbeing Scorecard. And that's a free resource that's on our site. But can we put that on BSB as well?
I'm going to encourage you to do that. In fact, yep, and we're going to create a landing page so that you can actually download Margaret's 12 mental health points, whatever. I'm sure you've got a cooler name for it than what I do. You've practiced this.
I call it the Wellbeing Scorecard Challenge. So you've got a little score sheet.
So much nicer than my name. Not Kevin, the name that I just gave it. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Kevin. It's a pleasure chatting to you. Look forward to doing it again.
I got to say, I'm grateful that you came onto the show. So thank you very much. You've taught me stuff today already. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Catch you later. Bye now.
Bye.
Sometimes it takes.
What do we do now?
We're still waiting for it to stop. I've hit stop. It's still there. We could be grateful that we got this extra time.
What do we do now?
We just got to stand and keep talking and pretend that we've stopped.
Oh, okay.
Rather than just, there you go.
There you go.